Hey everyone, PJ back with Exotic Car Hacks, and today we're actually going to be going for a drive. That's right, we're going for a drive. And we need a couple of things to go for a drive to test out the new STO. We need glasses, which we have now, so I feel much better now. But before we get out there, I want to talk a little bit about some of the features of this car, because in the last review, we really didn't take a lot of time doing that. Instead, we really took a look at the car and design and what it really does. So here I want to take just 1 second here for you guys to see this. So the big difference between a normal Huracan, a Performante, and this is that the 3 race modes here have changed now to STO, Trofeo, and whatever the fuck that last one is, POGO, whatever the fuck that means. But I think that means wet, basically. So this is wet, this is dry performance, and then the STO one is the regular one. Now, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to just test out and talk a little bit about what it feels like to drive an STO, because this is as loaded as an STO as it comes. Even has the $5,000 carbon floor mat option, which makes it really nice. And we're going to be talking about, is this car really that much better than a Performante or not, because it's the latest variant for the Huracan. And so some of the things I want to point you to is, obviously the Performante did not have this infotainment, but my Evo did, which we did a review on. And I talked about how much I hated, I mean absolutely hated, under all circumstances, the actual interface. And I'm going to tell you why. The first reason why I hate this more than anything else is that, look, to go to climate, you have to go here. You have to press this again, and it's on this delay, which is very, very annoying. So now you can go up, you can go down, you know, and so on and so forth. Nothing big, you're like, okay, so what? You're pressing a couple of buttons. But you have to understand the distraction when you're driving a car, especially a race car, and you have to not only press a button, but press multiple buttons to get somewhere. Now, we're in the media section where you want to listen to music. So first you go here, then it can't recognize my phone, which the Bluetooth in this thing completely sucks. It sucked in the Evo too. But then you want to go ahead and play here. No issue either, because you're set your music. But here's the problem, and this is the biggest problem that I had with anything else. Usually you have a little knob here with most manufacturers where you're like, oh, little knob, whatever, I'm going to work it out or whatever. But here, with this particular car, you have to press the sound thing here, and then you have to go up, down, whatever you want, or you can tap it, or whatever it is, or mute it. And you can see sometimes it doesn't respond fast enough. So the problem is that it takes a couple of times pressing something to basically get the car to do what you want it to do. And it's just really, really annoying, because it's incredibly distracting that when you're coming up to a drive-thru or something, or someone's talking to you and you want to pull the window down, you press this button, and then if you want to get to the noise, you got to basically go like this. Yeah, can I help you? Okay, you can't. All right, now I'm back, and now I'm back, and windows back up. I know in the surface you might think that it's just really good, but really it's really not. It's just annoying, like really, really annoying. So this was my biggest complaint with the Evo, and it continues here with the STO. So now with this car, we've removed the exhaust flaps, you know, the little thing that the little fucking vacuum thing that makes it louder, or like basically opens up the revs, etc. at 4,000 RPM. So basically the valves are always open. So now we're going to go out, and it's got a lot of room in the front to negotiate curbs, a lot. So here is a pretty steep incline, and we got out just fine by just lifting the car, and the lift works very, very well. So no issues there. Here we're in basic STO mode. The car's got a 6,000 RPM lock right now, because it's obviously not warm yet. But we're going to go for a little bit of a drive and kind of discuss the idea of how cool the STO really is, good, bad, or exciting or not. And from there, we'll have a good gauge on it. So driving in the city, like right around everywhere you are, the one thing you'll notice right away before anything else, very different than the very, very different, if I may say, completely night and day from the Perf, is the rear visibility is absolute horseshit. I mean, you're faced with this huge roof scoop, which we don't really care about, it's okay. But this roof scoop basically blocks everything, and so does this hatch. So you have this design thing, and it's completely annoying, and basically like you can't really understand or see anything here. And as a result of that, it's basically like right behind you is the visibility is just really, really bad. So we just don't like that. Like that's not okay. That's just very, very annoying. The other thing that right away you'll notice, other than that, is that the car is really wide, and it again, just attracts a lot of attention, which is fantastic all around. Just really, really, really good all around. But here's where it differs significantly from the Perf. The Perf, while not as race-like, had a significantly more fun component to lower rev driving, meaning like in the city like this, we're driving around, you would think it's the same, it's basically the same car, but it's really not. And it behaves very differently. And the noise isn't as exciting as a Perf either. Why? I don't know. I'm not a tech guy or engine guy, so I don't really know what they changed, other than the only thing I can think of, which also differentiates the noise from the SVJ to the Aventador S and everything else, is really the ALA system's missing here. And so you don't get that whooshing, whatever. You would expect to get it at least from the roof scoop, which you also don't get it from. And you have this annoying freaking thing here, the on and off thing with the trying to save the air or whatever the fuck it does. It's just stupid. So basically that's the first key things you kind of notice getting in the car immediately, outside of like power, this and that, while we're waiting for the car to warm up. The other thing I want to point out too, because this is important to notice too, this rear glass, which we talked earlier about the problem with the view, this rear glass is disgustingly filthy. And it's filthy because the only way to clean that is by entirely removing that rear latch instead of just like getting to the window. You just can't. You have to remove that rear latch to clean the window, which means that the majority of the time, most people will have a dirty window, which is very annoying, no different than McLaren P1s or the Senna, where you can't really clean the rear glass. And it's just very annoying to have to look at that if you're OCD like I am. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out. Now, as far as the driving, like I said, the noise isn't there. It's just not as good as a Perf. It's not that it's not noisy, it's just not as good, even with the valves open. But the car does dramatically change its dynamic, especially when you go to Trofeo mode. Like, it really gives you a Corsa feel. The steering wheel gets tighter, everything just gets more racy and more exciting, and it's very, very awesome to drive. But you also run into, again, something else that we didn't have with the Performante that we have here, and this is where it gets a little bit kind of annoying, and I want to show you this. I want to show you what I mean, because it's hard to just talk about it without really, showing you my face like I'm just some YouTube reviewer that looks extra excited when I go really fast. But not that you'll see how fast I go, but Reggie's losing his shit here trying to like keep up with what the fuck's going on. We're testing out this new camera too, so if you guys think this is like very shitty or small, I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. See, the rear is really like, because it's obviously rear-wheel drive, it stays straight, but it really wants to go sideways. And Reggie always suffers from, lack of breath and shortness of breath when we go fast. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that for this car to get like fun, you have to go really fast, because the car really respects the fact that it's like going. But it doesn't like to just cruise like a Performante, which then makes it completely different. The Perf, at least, is just really, really planted, and because it's all-wheel drive, but also it's just more fun, because even at lower RPMs, you get that speed faster, and you get the noise to complement the experience better. But the STO, while the experience is more visceral on the outside because it's so dynamically beautiful, way prettier than a Perf on all grounds whatsoever, but it doesn't create the same feeling for the driver unless you're on a track. So here is basically my final thoughts on this car when it comes to, in the entire variant of the Huracan lineup, which is super important to understand. One, it's really, really good. I want you to understand it. It's really good. But you'll never get to really use it for how good it is unless you're on a racetrack. And this is one of my biggest issues with almost every manufacturer to date when it comes to their new cars. You see, we went through this era between 2010 and 2018-19 where all the cars were super usable across the board. And I don't just mean to go to dinner, but I mean you could have fun anywhere with the car. And now we've gotten to a point where these cars are getting so fast and so technical that it's near impossible to engage in some level of fun when you're here in the street driving around. Instead, you need a full track or some huge amount of open road to really test out and enjoy the car for what it is. And to me, that's a problem, because it basically means that every time you're enjoying your car, you're basically either on the road doing something really stupid and putting yourself and everyone else in danger, or you're on a track, which you can't be on a track all the time. So it kind of begs the question of, do you really need to have 10 different track cars and so on and so forth? This was the same argument I made about the AMG GT Black Series. It's spectacular, it's amazing. It's just really boring on the street. It just doesn't really flow. So, you know, in conclusion, if I had to pay $300,000 for a Performante, or $450,000 for this, even though this is selling technically for $6 and you can still buy a Perf for $3, you know, I think to myself and I go, is it twice as good as the Performante? And the answer is no, it's not. It's not. I would argue that it's just as good in its own right, just not as fun, which is still good depending on what you're using the car for. But I would argue that it's so good looking and it's so special looking that it will definitely have a different feel for you than anything you've ever driven before, unless, of course, you have the means to already have an AMG GT Black Series or other cars like that, and then it just falls into that category. Like, this car basically makes the need for an AMG GT Black Series completely obsolete. Like, you don't need that car if you have this car. So, because they're so similar in so many ways. And the last, you know, kind of complaint I have on this is why they put Bridgestones on this. I have no idea. It's one of the worst tires. It drives like complete horse shit. And I would have 100% pushed Michelin's on it, which we're going to change that ourselves. I haven't decided yet which wheels we're doing, etc. by the time of this video. So we'll see how that turns out and if we're going to be putting Michelin's or Pirelli Trofeos on there. But why Bridgestones? No idea. But anyways, that's my review of the STO and basically my driving impression of the STO. If you want to learn more again on how to drive an STO and actually get out and make a killing, or ultimately be able to drive an STO and not lose any money, again, click the description below and join Exotic Car Hacks, where I teach you how to get in and out of cars by understanding the algorithms that back them, so that you don't lose any money owning exotic cars. And of course, if you like the video, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, so I don't go poor again. You know, the old days are terrible. Reggie's very hungry and he's struggling to eat right now, so he's asked. That's why he's always out of breath. You know, we don't feed him enough. Why are you laughing? Yeah, you see, he's like, God, why do you gotta involve me in your videos? You know, I know. Yeah, this is like, you almost had me the whole video. I almost didn't talk about you. You know, like now I just had to do that. You know, I know it's so messed up, right? But anyways, guys, click like, turn on notifications, subscribe, and leave a comment. What do you think? AMG GT Black Series or STO? You tell me.